AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers! Welcome to another Spotlight On. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. If you guys haven't done so already, please go on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, rate, review, subscribe. We really appreciate hearing your feedback. I have a very special guest with us in the studio today, none other than Miss Monica Tenkate, the star of ABC Family's hit show, Monica the Medium. Yay! I am so excited. Thank you so much for coming, Monica.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And where can everyone find you if they want to tweet at you during or after the show?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Monica the Medium. Monica the Medium is my handle for everything. Instagram, Facebook,
so it's
Snapchat.
Just you.
Yeah, everything. Monica the Medium. Yes.
It's a really good thing there's no one else named Monica who's a medium.
Yeah.
They would probably be really pissed.
Exactly. Well, the show, when we got the show, they were like, oh, darn it, she already had all the social media handles. So they made it like Monica Medium TV for the Twitter, for like the show's official Twitter.
That's amazing.
And all that. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Twitter and Instagram and the works, if you guys, don't follow us already, follow us at AfterBuzzz TV on all social media platforms. And me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43. So let's just start with the beginning of this new chapter of your life,
Yes.
which I think would be the pilot of, just shooting it. I'd like to talk about what that was like for you and just kind of, being able to do what you do, but on TV, which you've never been before. Mm-hmm. How did that kind of play out?
Well, for me, I remember at the beginning of filming for the pilot being just so scared and nervous, having a lot of anxiety going into it because, not so much about me having, these cameras following me around and potentially it one day possibly getting on TV, but thinking of, it's not just me doing this in front of these cameras and everything for the first time, but having to ask like my clients or people that I would give a spontaneous reading to, like, are you okay that I do this crazy thing, connect your loved ones in spirit, but then on top of that, are you okay with a whole camera crew filming it? So that was kind of my biggest concern. Would the clients be comfortable with it? Are they going to be okay? But at the beginning I was really nervous. It was kind of like an adjustment to get used to it, but kind of forgot the cameras were around within the at first like week or two after filming the show. It's like they became like my family.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a weird question, but did you ever connect with any of the crew members?
That's a great question.
Just, be like, actually, it's not this person I need to give a reading to. It's you, camera assistant number 2.
It had happened before. I, for the most part, Spirit was pretty respectful about kind of staying back when I would be, giving readings for the show because they, Spirit knows that would be pretty distracting if I'm trying to give a reading to a client or whatnot, and then all of a sudden it's like for an audio guy or something. But usually it would be kind of like on an off day. Like I'd always joke if somebody on the crew wanted a reading from me, it'd like get me in a car stuck for a couple hours, and then like it would bound to happen because
so
it's
basically
like,
kidnap you.
Yeah, basically, because it was like if I had nothing else going on, then and it's happening, then I'm sure it's gonna come through because I basically had a rule of like I wouldn't do it for people on the crew because it's like it would just be like way too much for me. Just but it did happen a couple times. And what was really cool is at the end of filming, I asked my crew, I was like, hey, like, can you tell me now, was there ever a time like in my readings where something was coming through from Spirit and like it didn't connect to the client or the person getting read, but it made all the sense to you guys? And it happened for 2 of the camera guys and an audio guy. They were like, it happened more than once where the client couldn't claim it, but everything connected to one of my loved ones. And I just didn't say anything because I'm like trying to do my job. And I was like, how could you guys not tell me? You didn't even tell me like afterwards. Like, why am I just hearing about this now? Well,
funny. Do you ever get any like repeat visitors in a way? Connecting with Spirit and like they just keep on coming back, or you recognize them like, oh, I mean, did I connect with you a few months ago, or that kind of thing?
That's a great question. I, for the most part, don't get the repeat visitors. I've had even with my everyday readings, I have a rule with my clients that you cannot come to me more than twice in a year for a reading, just because I want them to, I never want to have anybody feel like that's the only way that they can connect to their loved ones or feel that connection of having them around. I always try to encourage them, you don't need a medium to know that your loved ones are around you. You can look for the signs and symbols, the hellos from heaven, all of that. So I try to limit that. But so in that case, so even with a repeat client, like, for the most part, I don't recognize spirit as like a repeat spirit because I channel thousands of spirits. So it's just kind of like, and I feel it too. It's not like seeing them outside myself the way I see you. So it's not like, oh, I recognize your face. It's more of just like, you start to feel them and hear them. And yeah, so usually I wouldn't even know until I'm like, wait a second, this sounds really familiar. And then it might hit me.
I mean, it must be so overwhelming. And especially you're young, you're in college, you're doing your first TV show. Is it ever confusing? Like, what am I picking up? Where am I picking it up? And you've said before you can try to turn it off and do your best.
Yeah, it is. It can definitely be overwhelming at times. And I would say that, I think the biggest part of it is that, yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's all coming through. It's really strong and it's definitely spirit around, but you don't always know exactly who it connects to, who it's for. And then I'm just like juggling. I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I at in this room of like who this person belongs to? And, with everything else going on in my life and studying for school or hanging out with my friends and doing all that other stuff that you do when you're 21, that's where it's hard to balance it all and juggle everything. So yeah, it can be a little overwhelming for sure.
And we see that on the show, like with your friends and your sisters. And in the last episode, I was like mad at one of your friends. I was mad at Krista.
You along with everybody else. I'm going to use this opportunity to comment on that then, because I haven't really had a chance to say this kind of once and for all about Krista. You can finish your thought though. What did you feel? Like you felt like I have a feeling I know what you're going to say because everyone else said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, let you do your thing because you're helping people.
Yeah, you're like, that's messed up. Like, let her do good. Well, yeah. Okay, so what I'll say about this, because I had a lot of tweets and Facebook comments and messages, even emails, like everyone just like tearing her apart and ripping her to shreds. I felt bad because I'm like, that's my best friend you're talking about,
Don't get me wrong, I love her.
I love her.
And how supportive she is of you and everything.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I understood from the viewer standpoint why everyone was like, oh my God, like really upset when they saw that, that episode last week and seeing the way that she was then. But what I want to just kind of remind the audience is that, that wasn't the greatest thing for her to kind of be complaining or whining about me giving readings. That is my life. And it's kind of like, you should know that by now, which she does, that being friends with me, being in my life, that it comes along with spirit. But in her defense, 99.9% of the time, Krista is my number one supporter, cheerleader, advocate for me and what I do. Like, she is there for me 99.9% of the time, encouraging me and telling me to keep on doing what I do as a medium. The one, you know what I'm saying? Like the one time, and we're 21, it's like we sometimes get upset or we get heated or emotional about things. And then it's like you look back and you're like, why did I overreact that way? So it's like the one time she had like a lapse in judgment is like what everybody sees. And it's like, you don't see the other 100 times where she's like so supportive, understanding, and patient about it. So I get it. We were on vacation. And the other part too is that when people watch the show, their kind of defense too is like, Monica can't control it ever. Like there's no way she could stop it. Like she has to give the reading, but what they also have to understand is like, I'm learning more and more how to have a little bit more of control, like an on and off switch. I can more so, kind of be able to turn it off. There's always the exception, which you see on the show. Obviously there are times where I'm trying to stay off the clock and it'll still come through. But obviously on a show about a medium, you're not always gonna, in the times where I go in to go get a, lunch with my sisters or this and that, where maybe I didn't have anything come through because I was good about staying off the clock. You don't always see those moments. So Krista knows that I could have maybe tried a little bit harder to have spirit back up. So I think that's it.
And that kind of gets into something else I wanted to talk about, which is you being on reality TV, which, those two words in general are kind of, like an enigma.
I like to say docuseries.
Yes, docuseries. But I've read quotes and stuff from you that it's just like, I wanted to make sure that this was not a trashy reality show.
Exactly. Yeah.
And were there ever, I know that Lionsgate, all the producers and, ABC Family respects you and they've made a great product, but were there ever times while filming where you're like, I don't want to do that, or this doesn't seem like real or natural to me?
Well, for me, that really didn't that issue never really came up because from the very beginning, from before we even filmed the pilot, I made it very clear, like, look, for one, I said I would never do a TV show unless it was with ABC Family. I knew from the beginning that that was the network I would want to be on. I really respected it. It's a legitimate channel, a great network to be on. And I felt like already it would alleviate a lot of the issues that you might have with that situation if I was on maybe a different kind of network where they might try to be like, oh, we want this, we like, let's make it more exciting and dramatic, whatever. So I felt like with ABC Family there would be less of that to begin with. But from the start I was like, I will not do this TV show if it is not real and if it's not going to be like what's happening in my life, you know what I'm saying? And obviously with television they can't just film me and my puppy Luna in bed all day, like that, you know.
Luna's so cute.
Even though I would watch that. But so it's like, you know, you have to be able to make sure that things are going on in my life. But at the same time, you know, they were very good about respecting the fact that, you know, I said, I get, you know, it's a TV show, but, you know, this is my real life. This is my real gift. And, you know, from the beginning, they were very good about respecting. I said, when it came to the readings, especially, no one was allowed to intervene. You couldn't cut in and say, can you say this again? Can you repeat that? Can you say that about someone's nothing. And they respected, too, that I said we needed a skeleton crew, only the 2 cameras and an audio guy. Everyone else would be completely out of the picture. Like, it was very intimate and private, especially in those readings filming. And, you know, yeah, completely untouched. Like, they stepped back and let me do my thing, which is great.
And I really felt that, and I almost wish that everyone that says whatever they say, you know, that are not believing that they kind of knew that. Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure you've been asked about skeptics and so many times, but has there ever been a time, because death is such a sensitive thing, especially if someone has lost someone that is semi-recent, you know, that you've approached someone and asked if they wanted to connect with whomever, and they're like, I can't, this is so disrespectful or rude.
That's a great question. People ask, is there ever a time that you go up and they're like, no, like I'm not comfortable, get away from me. Luckily, and knock on wood, wherever there's wood, knock on wood, it continues to be this way. But luckily, Spirit has never brought me or led me to somebody spontaneously out and about to give a message unless they were going to be open to it, thankful and grateful for it, whether it's on TV or off. Every time I've ever given that, you know, message out and about spontaneously, it's always for people who are at the end of it, like, so glad that I approached them.
Yeah, it's kind of all meant to be.
It's all meant to be. I've never had anyone spit in my face, you're crazy, get away from me, no thank you. Like, you know, they might be a little bit like on the fence or maybe skeptical, but they're always at least open to wanting to hear what I have to say from Spirit.
And I was talking to my good friend Lauren, Rosenberg, who is one of the producers of the show that knows Monica as well. So shout out to Lauren. Thank you so much for connecting us. She told me to ask. She was like, ask her about readings that didn't make the show.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where, you know, we filmed for months, and there are so many, like, every reading is so important to me. Everyone kind of holds a special place in my heart. And I just was like, you know, watching back, the only times I ever get like not upset, but I'm like, oh, like, darn it, like, is just because I'm like, oh, I wish they could have shown that reading too. And then, you know, there are times where in the episode you see me read somebody, but they're with their friend and you don't know that I also gave a reading to that friend. And I'm like, oh, I would have loved to see that. So yeah, I mean, there are so many readings that didn't make it because I'm constantly giving readings. And there are also times too where it's just like, you know, in an hour you can't show every awesome moment, but yeah, it's great.
I love that, and I kind of love that you are like the reading fairy. You're just like, oh, hello, I'm here. I'm just gonna, you know, I need to and I have to. And I mean, I love going to mediums. My mom and I do it all the time. And do you, you know, you've only been doing this for like since high school, so you know, like 5 years or something. Do you remember every person? Because I've been to mediums and it seems that they're so caught up in all the craziness going on that they forget. Well,
you know, it's kind of, I do remember a lot of people, like clients that I meet. Like I said, every reading kind of, you know, I hold close to my heart and they're all so special. But as far as, you know, for my sanity, after every single reading, I purposely release all the information, details, messages, all that information that had come through from Spirit. I release that and kind of cleanse my energy, do a little meditation, like let it wash away. Because if I was constantly living, you know, in this world on a day-to-day basis, carrying on to all that, you know, emotions and heaviness and sad, like it would just be too much for me. It would be too much. So yeah, so I definitely don't remember all the readings. I've done thousands of readings, so don't hate me, but I can't remember every single client, but there are definitely, things that people and readings that stand out for sure.
And it gets to you too, because I mean, you talked about how you're an empath.
Yes, I feel a lot
and that's
of things.
kind of how it started.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was intuitive and empathic growing up, but it really wasn't, like you said, until high school that I was like, oh my God, there are dead people like around me. So yeah.
I'm a big fan of I watched all of Medium and Ghost Whisperer. I love that stuff. But when they portray it when these women are kids.
Yeah.
And they're experiencing it for the first time, how scary. I don't know if you've seen any of that, but it must have been terrifying. Was it like that for you?
Well, for me, and I always joke, how you do hear a lot of mediums who talk about, for them, it's starting when they were 3 or 4 years old with seeing a dead person at the foot of their bed. And I'm like, thank God that was not the way that it was happening for me, because I feel like if I was experiencing that as a child, I could not be doing what I do now. I would have been terrified and scared out of, pursuing, using my gift in any way. For me, it was only frightening at the very beginning, because I remember I would go to sleep being like, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. Spirit, I don't want to roll over and see a dead person, see at the ceiling. I didn't want any of that. But once I started kind of sharing messages from Spirit, using my gift, I truly could see that it wasn't a scary or frightening thing. It was a beautiful gift from God that was bringing so much joy and peace and healing and comfort to these people. And so, yeah, it definitely wasn't and isn't scary to me.
Well, I love both of your parents' kind of intake on it, because they're both very different.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I mean, I am up to date. I have 2 episodes left for this season, because there's 2 episodes left of the season. But, we've seen both your mother and your father on the show.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, we were almost warned that your mother was not a fan. But she, it seems, came around.
She's coming around. Yeah,
But your father at the end still was just hungry. He just wanted to eat.
Isn't he hilarious? That made me laugh so hard. What was it? My sister being like, Dad was just channeling the oysters. Or he said, I'm just channeling these oysters or something. It was hilarious. I think though, like I was saying earlier, you guys don't see everything. And, you didn't see that same kind of full circle, I'm now 100% a believer kind of moment in that episode. But especially now, because that was filmed a couple months ago, as he now sees more and more of my readings and, my connection to Spirit, he's like, whoa, he's so impressed. He'll my dad's funny when he says my name Monica, he'll leave out the end. He'll be like, Mocha. I don't know why, but he's just always said that. And he'll be like, Mocha, how'd you know that about that woman's dad? I'm like, Dad, I'm a medium, it's and he's now, I can see by his face, his eyes bulge out of his head. And he's just like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I think he's definitely starting to be like, whoa, this is real.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you, because now that it's all on air and your family's watching it, it must give them a little even more.
Absolutely, because, well, one, my dad, and I talk about this in the show, my dad has been working in Afghanistan. He's not in the military, but he works with them. He's an auditor, and he, has been there for a couple years. He comes home every couple months for 2 weeks or something. But kind of through the bulk of when I was coming out as a medium and sharing my gift and starting to do readings, he was, in Afghanistan. So he didn't really get to be there to witness, what I was doing. And so he really never had that opportunity to see my gift, to see me give a reading. So now that he's getting to he's still in Afghanistan, he gets to see it through the show. That's what I'm saying. He's come around a lot, because he's like, whoa, I never knew what it was all about. I never really got to see it. And same with my mom. She's like, oh, Monica, that's so nice to see you to give the message. And I'm like, yeah. So it's they've definitely come a long, long way. My mom used to cry every time that I would tell her about me being a medium, because she was so worried if it was not from God and all of that. But now she's supportive.
Well, I love that. Not that she was terrified, but she was afraid it was the devil, because a lot of people do think that.
Yeah.
It's not that she thought you were crazy.
No, my mom, and I explained this. It's my mom never doubted my ability. She never thought I was a liar, a con artist, a fraud, none of that. She was just worried or concerned because of her Catholic background and her religion. She was just worried, well, is this coming from, a positive place? Is it a gift from God? Or could it be, the devil disguising himself as angels and positive spirits? And, that was an understandable concern. She kind of put that idea in my head when I first started doing this work. I was like, what if that is true? I started praying. I'd be like, God, you can trump any negative energy. If it's not from you, make it so that Spirit doesn't come through clearly and strong and accurate and all that. But if anything, my gift just got stronger. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I am very fascinated with all of this in general, and I know that you can't really give readings to people too close to you.
Yeah.
Or especially for yourself. That's just completely impossible. So, you can't communicate with people in your family or anyone like that you are connected to.
Well, I'll explain. Yes and no. So, for example, because my mom was so kind of, unsure of if this is, what is this and all that. When I first started doing this work, she had been begging me for like a reading, which is ironic because she was so against it, but she was like, but I want to see it for myself kind of thing. I was like, Mom, it doesn't work that way. Like, your dad is my grandfather. Like, I know too much, all of that. But I did sit down with her and I was like, well, I'll try it and see if anything comes through. And I was able to bring through her cousin, and there were name connections, how he passed, like all these details. And he died before I was born. I've never heard anyone in the family talk about this cousin of hers, and he came through. So it is a fine line. So I can't connect to my own loved ones, and I can't give readings to family and friends when like it's too close to me and I already know too much. But there are times where I can give a reading to a family member if someone comes through that I know nothing about. Does that make sense? Like my sister, I'd given her a reading where one of her dorm mates from college passed away from cancer, and I never knew about that, or that I was a kid when that happened, and she came through and Jessica was crying and was like, I've never talked to you about this girl, and how did you know all that? So that's when I can, but so there's that line.
Okay, so you can give readings.
Yeah, but it has to be like
can't know them.
if I didn't know them at all. Yeah, exactly.
What if like you didn't know somebody, but they still, because there's guardian angels and whatnot that people talk about, and there's a fine line. Sometimes your family members that have passed are those, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Like, how can you connect with those people for yourself? For
like my own angels, or for me, I can connect in a way like to my spirit guides and things like that in meditation, and I can kind of get messages that way. Even from my loved ones, like I do connect to them, but it's kind of the same way that everybody can connect. I ask my own loved ones in spirit, send me the hellos from heaven, send me butterflies, songs on the radio, dreams, like all of those things. My grandfather will pop in dreams that I have, and I know that what he said and the messages he had, that was from him in that exact moment. So I still absolutely connect to them. Sometimes I will through a meditation or like an automatic writing, but it's just not the same way. I can't communicate the same way that I can with other people's loved ones.
Have you ever gotten a reading from another medium?
Yes, I have. And actually, that's funny you asked that question, because it just happened on what day was it? Friday night. I got a message here in LA while I've been in town from another medium. So I got dinner last week with this medium named Fleur, really sweet, and she's also young. She's like 24. We got dinner because I love to meet other people that I can relate to and are also young doing this work. Got dinner. She invited me to this event that she had in Santa Monica for like 30 people. Last thing that I expect was for me to get a reading. I just was going to I wanted to see her live. I wanted to support her, and ended up getting a message from Spirit, somebody that I've never talked about publicly, not even social media. Like no one knows about this person, a friend of mine that had passed away a couple years ago, and he came through so strong, and I got a bunch of messages, and that was really cool. And it's crazy because I do this every day, so it's like it was amazing how I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe she knew all, and my friends with me laughing like, Monica, you do this every day? I'm like, I know, but it's just crazy when the tables are turned and it happens to you. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your love life, because that is a bit of a focus on the show.
Yeah.
And it does seem like it could be a buzzkill, to be a medium. And I know that you've been asked before if you've been on dates and someone comes through for them. How awkward.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
It's a little uncomfortable, yes.
But do you think if you are really connected and like the person and have a future, that Spirit won't come through because they know?
And that it's so funny. Everybody keeps saying that about Mitch, because if you've watched the show, you see this guy that I've gotten to know a bit.
You guys kissed.
Yeah, it was a cute kiss. I will say that. But yeah, so with him, it was funny because my roommate said it. Even like fans of the show will tweet and like, "That's it, Monica. You must be meant to be," or something. And I'm like, relax, everybody. Who knows? But I've never been able to give him a reading, and it is kind of weird. I'm like, what does that mean? So who knows? I know that whether it be him or any guy that I end up dating in the future or whatnot, my hope is that if it is somebody that I'm going to have a real relationship with, that maybe not ever, that maybe it's not that I won't ever give him a reading, but at least not at the beginning. beginning. Like, I'm learning now that I think it's better to get to know the guy naturally, just like every other 21-year-old does, like going on dates and having those conversations, get to know each other, than having me give a reading so early on, while dating, because it's just like, I don't want to learn all these things, especially a lot of things that are private or things that you would not learn about a person you're just starting to date, so soon, and having spirit tell me that. Like, I'd rather learn it from the guy and like just naturally learn those things.
Absolutely.
It's like jumping ahead 10 steps. Like, I know your whole life story.
It's like having sex on the first date.
Exactly. It really is. I'm like, no, there has to be like some however many date rule kind of thing.
It's like more.
Yeah, it's even more. This is like more intimate, really. A lot more intimate than anything physical. It's like, I know like really emotional things about the people that you've lost, about you, and like, it's a lot.
Because I'm sure, because you're an empath too, like you can feel too what they feel, and then it's like, oh, it's too soon.
It is funny though that sometimes though, spirit will kind of pull through for me and be like bad guy. Like, sometimes spirit will give me a little like red flag, like don't talk to that guy, it's not worth your time. And so that's where I am like okay with letting a little spirit come through, because if they're gonna warn me and like don't bother, then I'm like, great, thanks spirit for the heads up that this guy's a jerk or whatever. So that'll sometimes happen.
That's so fun. I wish everyone could have that. Like,
but I will say, spirit doesn't tell me all their dirty secrets or like, oh, that guy cheated. They just might make me have a feeling like maybe not the best guy. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite moments of the whole series has been in the first episode with the frat guy.
Yes.
That you literally brought to tears. And this was a bro.
Yes. Bro. Yes. Yeah.
And they used it, in the promos and everything. And when you saw it, the promos at first, you're like, okay, this guy's saying hashtag. He's still, but he didn't know what else to say. Like, he was so shocked.
Yeah.
And I just kind of loved watching the experience.
Yeah.
What was, I'm sure you've done that to a lot of people like him.
Absolutely. But even so, and I've done thousands of readings, that's probably one of my top 15, I would say, top 10 even, of like most memorable, like strongest connections that I've had. Because that reading, I remember, it was crazy because, for the most part in the show, like, yeah, there might be people here and there like watching a reading, and whenever I do any reading, I tune out. Like, I'm good about blocking out everything that's happening around me and being so in the zone, focusing on just the person I'm giving a reading to, spirit, and like the messages. And I don't even, like, everything else fades in the background. But with that reading in particular, I feel like, it was just like, it was so strong that it was so easy for me. Like, I had no idea that the party went from everyone like playing games and having fun to like everyone sitting and watching. I didn't even realize that everyone was watching until like the end of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like all these people are sitting here, because that's how like it's strong and intense it was. It was amazing.
I love everyone that you connect with, because I know that you connected with a lot more people that they haven't shown, but I also loved the girl, I think it was in the second episode, who lost her mother when you were looking for a job.
There were two of them there. Cassandra, I think, was one of them, and Cersei, and then there was another one in the Apple Tree, whose brother was gay.
Yeah, his brother was gay. That was the one, and his mother had passed away.
Yes. I have a story about her, by the way.
Really?
Too. I ran into her. She's the sweetest girl. So I gave her that reading. She was shopping that day, and I gave her that reading. But I ran into her at Wegmans like a couple weeks later, and she had told me just how much that reading had changed her life and all these things. And one of the things you guys didn't see in the episode, because they just don't have enough time to show the whole reading, is Spirit brought through, she was like, tell her to start looking for dragonflies. Like, that's going to be my sign or symbol, hello from heaven, for her. Tell her to look for dragonflies. And then right as we finished the reading, I looked down, and like the first thing that popped out of me was this dragonfly ring. So I ended up buying her the ring as just a little thing I wanted to give her. And so she hadn't taken off the ring, and I ran into her web, and she's like, I haven't taken it off. And she goes, well, get this. And I was like, what? And she goes, after the reading, I called my family. I called my dad when I got home, and he said that, oh guys, something I've never told you is that personally with your mother, like his wife, that my sign is dragonflies. It's always been. And he had never told them that, which is why I was like, oh my God, no wonder she brought that up, that was the thing. And he was like, this guy was like, a dad who very kind of quiet and held back, who didn't share things, but that was his symbol. And then on top of that, she asked me when I ran into her at Wegmans for my address, and she sent me the sweetest little journal, because she knows I like to write as I do readings, and a thank you card with all of her family saying thank you. And I got that like a couple weeks ago, and it was was like, what perfect timing. She didn't know when her episode was going to air, and I got it like 3 days before her episode aired. It was amazing.
That's amazing. I love that. And I loved her specifically because you could see that she was so happy and so grateful. And it almost looked as though she was walking around just in life, like waiting for
just waiting.
that.
Just like she knew, I feel like in her heart, she just knew that she would, like, I think she just, that was supposed to happen at some point in her life, like having that opportunity to get a message from her mom in that way. And even though it had been like almost 10 years, I think, like, you know, that doesn't change how much she thinks of her mom, misses her mom. And, you know, that was probably one of my favorite, you know, all season, because it just was so sweet when I got that package and a thank you card and that journal, and I was just like, oh my God, that's why I do what I do. I could almost get emotional talking about it, because it's just, you see, like, you know, and I have clients like that all the time though, like, you know, whether it's the ones on TV or off, is these people who call me or email me, send me things, you know, thank you cards, you know, months or even years later, saying, you know, you don't realize like how this changed the course of my life, you know. And I'm just like, it's mind-blowing. You're like, wow, like at 21 that I can have that impact on people, and it just amazes me. And
not only that you can convey messages, but you're opening up a whole new world for these people that they didn't know existed. In a way, that's the bigger gift.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really one of the reasons that I had agreed to doing this show to begin with, because I really wasn't trying or asking to be on television. The opportunity for a TV show just really landed in my lap. But when I thought about it, because I was like, do I want to be on TV? Like, because it is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of responsibility, and you know, it is kind of overwhelming at times. But I was like, you know what, I want to do this because I can't reach every last person individually. Like, you know, I'm only one person, but with this kind of platform, I knew that I would have this opportunity to reach thousands upon thousands. I could reach the masses in a way and kind of be in this position almost as like a teacher in a way, teaching people that there is more to life beyond here in the physical world, that mediumship isn't this creepy, scary, witchy type thing. It's a positive, beautiful gift, and just, you know, bringing comfort to the people watching that wouldn't be able to have a reading one-on-one with me, because I get comments and emails and people constantly telling me like, you know, Monica, I might not ever get a chance to meet you one-on-one, but when you gave the reading to that girl who lost her mom, that brought me so much healing, because I lost my mom and I could relate to what she was going through. You know, they can all relate to one of the readings.
And what's really beautiful about the show too is I feel like probably 60% of the people you give readings to are younger people like me and you. Yeah. That have lost someone significant, and they kind of have a hole in their heart because you're young and you're losing a parent or a sibling.
Absolutely. I mean, like the readings there are a lot of readings I do for all ages. Course. You haven't seen all of them, that, you know, some of them got cut out. But, you know, a big majority of the people that I give readings to, because of being in a college town and being 21, are people that are like my peers and my own age. And what I've gotten as feedback from these people is like, you know what, Monica, I'm so grateful for someone like you doing this work, because I would have never been open to ever seeing a medium, going to one, or even receiving messages, because it would kind of weird me out to go to some like creepy old lady's house and like, I don't know, they just have this image of a medium, and the last thing they expect is someone like normal, this regular 21-year-old girl like, you know, like me. And so, you know, they're like, I wouldn't have had this opportunity if it wasn't with you. And yeah, so it's really cool.
I have a kind of different specific question. I've always kind of wondered this. So there was an episode, I think it was the last episode or the one before, where you connected with a mother that had lost her baby. Yeah. That was very young.
Last episode.
And the baby, who was, I think
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Yeah, it was 5. So like a newborn was connecting with you and telling you things. How does that happen? Because a baby itself can't communicate those things.
Well, because their soul knows what went on here in the physical world, and when you transition and you're in heaven, you get to watch back your life, so they know of all the moments, all the things that would have gone through, how their loved ones here in the physical world feel about, you know, even years later, the thoughts and feelings, emotions that they have in regards to the time that they were alive, and also the time after their passing. And your soul, it's different when you're on the other side, even if it's a baby, because even sometimes souls will come through that were connected to a miscarriage or termination, but they say it's like, you know, even though that's like that baby energy, and they come through kind of so fast and everything, but they're not goo goo gaga. Like, their soul grows and matures and they learn, and there's like no language barrier, you know. They're able to freely communicate the same way that any other spirit will communicate with me.
So they're growing and learning on the other side. Exactly. It's like they don't stay babies.
It's not like they're a little they're not like crying baby. They know what's going on. Their soul knows what's happening, and they're just as much around and can communicate as much as, you know, a grandparent, a mom, a dad, brother, etc. So yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's so fascinating to me and so many others.
Yeah.
And you kind of have you don't know what it's like yet, but you have more of an insight than most.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I say. It's like, I by no means, I'm not God, I'm not the Pope, but I don't have insight of everything that's gonna happen at all. I always joke, it's like, I have to wait until one day I'm also on the other side to fully know what it's like and what happens. But I do have some insight with what they show me and make me feel about the afterlife and things like that, in the sense that, I'm not afraid of death anymore. I don't want to die at all, but I know that when my time comes, if I walked out and got hit by a bus, like I wouldn't, I would know that I'd be okay, that I would be at peace in this beautiful place. So that's kind of comforting, is not being afraid.
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure it's comforting to your family and friends too now.
Definitely.
And everyone else that watches.
Is just knowing that it's like, I don't have to be worried that when you die, am I just going to be nothing? If it's just going to be nothingness, is it just like the body that's underground and that's it? It's like, no, like you will be reunited with your loved ones. You'll be in heaven, okay and at peace, and still with, you'll be with everybody and know what's going on. So it's pretty amazing.
So what's next for you? I mean, are you going to finish up senior year?
Well, right now, I definitely am a little bit behind in my classes. That's how we talk about the balancing and juggling of being a medium in college and all those things. I've kind of been figuring out a way to make it all work, and my way is kind of like doing more of my classes online, kind of slowing down, doing a couple at a time, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to graduate right on time with all my friends, but hopefully the plan is, finish my degree, keep doing my work as a medium. I can't say what I'll be doing necessarily in 5, 10, 15 years from now, but I know that I'll be using and sharing my gift, till the day I die. Like that I know for a fact.
Absolutely. Yeah. And have you heard of anyone else in your family that has been able to do this?
I know that there was a grandmother and like a great aunt or something that would get like dreams before someone would pass and this and that. But as far as a full-blown medium, I am the only one.
Well, also like you don't know, because back then it could be even harder to be that.
Well, yeah, especially because that's my mom's side, where it's all the Hispanic, conservative, Catholic background. They would never.
And they probably thought they were insane.
Well, no, I think they felt like, oh, this is. I think at that it was okay, because it was just like, oh, it's a dream, you can't control it, this and that. But they would never call anything mediumship. They would never like want to bring that out and share that gift. If they did have it, they would just be suppressing it as much as they could. So I think now that with me, maybe in the future generations, as people become more open to mediumship, and I feel like we're already in kind of the midst of a spiritual awakening and evolving of consciousness, that kind of thing. So who knows, maybe one of my kids one day, if I ever have kids, maybe one of them will be a little mini medium.
Well, it's really funny you say that, because I have seen a psychic medium named Thomas John, who's like fantastic.
I think I've heard of him. Is he even from New York?
Yeah.
Okay. I think someone's told me about him. I don't know what he looks like, or I haven't met him.
But. Yeah, I will connect you guys afterwards.
Yeah.
He's amazing. But I went to this retreat in San Diego a couple months ago, and and there was a girl in the retreat that was with her mom and aunts, and she was like 12.
Yeah.
And she was like crazy.
That's amazing.
Good. And he was just like, it's going to be okay. By 2020, mark my words, this mediumship thing, all of it is going to be way more accepted.
Yeah.
And people by 2020 aren't going to be afraid anymore to come out of the medium closet.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that. I feel the same way. Like we're starting that now, with having just even people be able to be more comfortable to have this conversation about, the afterlife and mediumship and spirit at their dinner tables, and just like opening people's eyes to like what's happening and what's out there, and making it less taboo, and taking away the stigma, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one last question to finish up. What do you think doing this TV show has added to your career, to you as a person, to you reading other people?
Mm-hmm. I think kind of what I was saying earlier, I get, and with the show too, I get even more, like thousands of emails and messages of people saying, can I please book a reading? Can I please get a session? And I just physically, I can't reach every last person. There's no way. But it's a way to share and bring healing to so many more than I could have ever done, just me by myself doing this on a day-to-day basis. So just knowing how much, that people are getting from this, you know, and people I don't even know or see or know exist. Like, it's crazy. Just that, like, that many people have that opportunity to learn and get that comfort and that healing from watching the show is really great. Can we look at maybe some tweets really quick if we have time?
Any? I don't know.
I can check really quick, but we're
having some Wi-Fi troubles over
yeah,
here.
let's just see if it works. If not, then at least we
At least we tried.
At least we tried. I know that they said it could sometimes interfere with the mic, so I'm going to hold it back a little bit so that I don't want to interfere anything.
It'll be okay. If you guys hear any buzzing, just know it's from spirits. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just spirit. Exactly. It's not our fault. I just was curious if maybe we had anything. Oh, I'm sure there probably is, but
if we don't, we will continue to look at this Twitter feed.
Yes, we'll look through them, and if you guys had any follow-up questions or comments about the show.
Yes, please. We will both continue to be on social media. I will tag Monica on any responses, and obviously she's very busy, and, you know, she might, but I will stalk her until she gets back to you. I'm just kidding.
Yay! Lovely. Well, it's such a pleasure to be here.
This is amazing, and we're crossing our fingers for season 2.
Yes.
And I just want to say personally, like, I love the show.
Oh, thank you.
And I think that you are just a really fun, nice person to watch.
Oh.
And it, like, kind of conveys through TV, which is hard to do sometimes.
Yeah.
So I feel like others have connected with you. Any haters out there, shut up. Like, it's real. And if you don't want to believe it, don't say anything. You know, your spirits up there are going to be pissed.
Well, I just say, like, I can just joke with them and be like, I get it if you don't believe or understand what I do. But one day when we're all up there, I can just joke and be like, told you so. Like, once you get it and you'll know then. But, you know, I can only do what I do to share my gift and bring the healing and these messages to people who are open to it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to watch you continue to do so, whether it's on ABC Family or elsewhere. Like, we will be watching. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And just to wrap up, where can we, again, you have your website, right?
Yeah.
Anything else, like, you want people to look up or plug?
Yeah, so my handle, Facebook, Monica the Medium, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I like to Snapchat fans back who watch a show and send me videos. I send them back personal messages.
I will add you.
Yeah, I'll be on Nightline tonight after Jimmy Kimmel, so they can also catch an interview and segment there. And yeah, keep tuning in every Tuesday night at 8, 7 Central on ABC Family.
Yay! Only 2 episodes left.
Yes.
And let's get this stuff renewed, guys.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Renew Monica the Medium season 2.
Tweet ABC Family.
ABC Family. Let's tweet them. Let's do it. Again, I'm your host, Sam Davidson. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
You can find me online at samdavidsonentertainment.com and again on Twitter and Instagram at samd43. We will see you guys soon. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
And buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.